someone close is incredibly difficult. I know in 2018, your young son at the time, 5, he lost his mom and you lost your ex-wife at that time. So tell us about that experience and how does that change your view on healthcare?
Yeah, so at the time, after I left banking, I went into industry. So essentially, I joined a client as a CFO of a company and the COO eventually. But essentially, we did a roll up. We grew this business to like 5,000 people. We bought 22 companies in 2.5 years. So my job was to buy, raise money, and integrate, right? So we built this kind of monster of a company. And we were pushing for a New York IPO. So my job became, okay, I'm going to list us in New York and then figure out what next. Unfortunately, my kid, who was then living with his mom. So I was divorced. I married my best friend from high school. We were married for 17 years. So even though we were divorced, we were still pretty close, right? We were co-parenting our kid. And she died really quickly. We didn't have any warning. One minute she was here, the next minute she wasn't. And the reason she died was entirely preventable. So she died essentially because she saw the wrong doctors at the wrong time. Like she had a travel associated infection that no GP in Singapore actually asked her whether she got on a plane. Right. She saw 4 GPs, none of them asked the question. Then by the time it came time to go to a hospital because she wasn't well, her private health insurer took 4 hours to issue a letter of guarantee or letter of authorization. By which time she just said, look, I don't think I'm that sick. I'm just going to check myself into a government hospital. And actually what happened was the government hospital initially did the right thing. They gave her IV antibiotics. But during a nursing handover, they actually forgot to put the new bag up. It's very simple, right? It happened because it was Labor Day weekend and they were short-staffed. And because they forgot to do that, she came septic, essentially, right? So bacteria got out into the bloodstream. And the next thing you know, I get a call saying, hey, come into the hospital. We don't know why, but they're calling family. And I had to take my son to say goodbye to his mom on the ventilator, essentially. And try explaining that to a 5-year-old kid, right? When you just told him the day before, mommy is coming home tomorrow, your world changes, right? So essentially, I quit my job 2 days after that. Unfortunately, the IPO then got derailed. And that's a whole separate story. But, I couldn't list a $1 billion company, deal with shareholders and, look after my son. And my son came first, right? I had remarried 6 months before that to make it more complicated. And our deal was we will never have kids. So then I was like, well, I might have to be a solo parent for a bit, right? Because we don't know how good a mom my wife was going to be. So, it changed my world, right? Like, so after 6 months, turned out that my partner was an amazing mom, right? She stepped in very well. I was okay. So I felt I could do something else. Then I had to figure out what the next thing was. And so people like me normally go run another big company. We don't do startups. But I felt really angry at the way she died, honestly. And I felt like I knew how to fix it, which was, hey, let's try technology because all these things can be fixed through tech. Why don't we navigate patients to the right doctor? And why don't we build health insurance systems that can automate letters of guarantee? So we don't have to wait for hours. We can do it in 2 minutes straight to your phone. And that's essentially what happened. Figured out a way how to do that. And a couple of people pushed me into it. One of our board members now basically told me, hey, if you don't try, what are you going to tell Ty you did about it? You sued a bunch of doctors or you actually tried to fix the problem? So that's kind of how we started. We started because of wanting to fix health insurance and make sure that patients ended up in the right place.
Join Disruptive Doctors. Oh, Disruptive Doctors. Impact.